Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the applications of Gauss law. There are three applications, they are given in our book. First application, we can use the Gauss law to find the electric field due to an infinitely long charged wire. Let us consider a very long and positively charged wire with the linear charge density, that is lambda. So what do you mean linear charge density? Is nothing but amount of charge in unit length, amount of charge per unit length. How can we find the linear charge density? It's lambda. You can divide the total charge by the total length. To understand this, let us assume this wire has 1000 charges and total length of the wire is 100 meter. So what do you mean lambda? Lambda, that is equal to total charge, that is 1000 divided by total length, that is nothing but 100. That will gives you 10 coulomb per meter. Here you can understand 1 meter of the wire has 10 coulomb of charges. So in 1 meter 10 coulomb of charges are present. In 2 meter 20 coulomb of charges will be present. Likewise in 10 meter how many charges will be there? 100 coulomb of charges will be there. How can you find the amount of charge? You multiply the particular length with the linear charge density. For example, for first one, for 1 meter how many charges are there? So you have to multiply the 1 with the linear charge density 10. That gives you 10 coulomb. Likewise 2 meter you are going to find means 2 into 10, 20 coulomb of charges. For 10 meter you are going to find the amount of charge. So 10 into 10, 100 coulomb of charges. So far for our understanding we use the number. What is the general idea? How can you find the amount of charge? Q. You have to multiply the two things. One is lambda, linear charge density, with the particular length. Here we have used the number for understanding. In general term, L. Here only the way to find the amount of charges in a particular length. Let us take a long and positively charged wire with the linear charge density, that is lambda. This shows the direction of the electric field lines. As we have taken the positively charged wire, the electric field lines come out of the wire. They are acting horizontally, or in other words, they are perpendicular to the surface of the wire. The reason we are going to discuss, it is a top view of the wire. The arrow mark represents the direction of electric field lines. Let us consider a point P at the distance r from the charged wire. We are going to find the electric field at a point P due to this charged wire using the Gauss law. Here you can ask the question, why don't we use the normal expression to find the electric field? But it is an expression for the electric field which is provided by the point charge. But here charges are distributed in the wire, long wire. So we can't use this expression to find the electric field due to charged wire. So we are going to use only the Gauss law. Here we have to find the direction of the electric field at the point P which is located at the R. The first demo itself we have seen the direction of the electric field. Here we are going to discuss in a detailed manner. So we are going to take two charges. First charge going to give the electric field in this direction. At the point P it is going to give the electric field in this direction. At the same distance another one charge going to give the electric field in a different direction. So at the point P there are two electric fields which is given by the two different charges in the wire. Let it be the first electric field. It can be the second electric field. Both are in a different direction. Then how can you find the resultant direction? In the equatorial plane we have learned already. So in this case, this type of cases we can divide the vector into its component. So the first electric field can be split into horizontal component and vertical component. For this vector, here it is a perpendicular component E1. It's nothing but a perpendicular component. What about the parallel component? It acts along this direction. So E1 parallel. Likewise for the second vector, second electric field, we can divide. Here it is the perpendicular component of the E2 vector. What about the parallel component? It's act along this direction. So E2 parallel. From this representation you can understand perpendicular component are in a opposite direction, so they can be cancelled. So parallel component both are in a same direction, that can be added. At the point P, both the parallel component which is provided by the two charges both are in a same direction. So in the first demo itself we have told electric field which is come outside from the charged wire always acts horizontally. This is only the reason. There will be no perpendicular component which is provided by the electric field which is provided by the each charge. The perpendicular components can be cancelled. So only horizontal component will be there. So the direction of electric field is act along the horizontal direction. Likewise, the same point P, suppose a point P is taken in this direction, in this side with the same distance, or then what is the direction of the electric field? It acts along this direction. Anyhow, it is horizontal. As we are going to use the Gauss law to find the electric field, you have to imagine the Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is nothing but an imaginary and closed surface to find the electric flux. So we are going to take a closed surface. The Gaussian surface can be taken in any form. Since we are going to use the charged wire, it's better to imagine in a cylindrical shape. So at the distance R, we have the point P. There only we are going to find the electric field. Then you can take that R as a radius, and you can imagine the top surface, top circular shape, and let the L be the length of the cylinder. Here also R. Now we have imagined the Gaussian surface, cylindrical Gaussian surface with the radius R and the length L. Here, by using the Gauss law, we are going to find the total electric flux. Through that, we can find out the value of E. We are going to discuss. Let us take a cylindrical Gaussian surface around the charged wire. This Gaussian surface has three surfaces: top surface, curved surface, and bottom surface. We are going to find total electric flux in this closed surface. We know that already electric flux is the number of electric field lines passes through the particular area. What is the expression for the electric flux? Pi E, that is equal to closed integral of E dot dA. Here closed integral is used because you are going to find the electric flux in this closed surface only. In this Gaussian surface only you are going to find. Since it has three surfaces, one is top surface, another one is curved surface, another one is bottom surface, it can be divided into three parts. This expression will give you the electric flux in the curved surface. The second expression will give you the electric flux through the top surface. Third one represents the electric flux through the bottom surface. To find the electric flux in the closed surface, we are going to consider the small area, that is dA, in each surface. Here it is a small area dA in the top surface. Here it is a small area in the curved surface. Here it is a small area in a bottom surface. Now we are going to find the electric flux through this small areas only. Using the integration, finally we can find the total electric flux through the entire surface, that is closed surface. In this diagram, that small surfaces are represented by the black color areas. So here it is a small surface dA in a top surface. Here it is a small area dA in a curved surface. This is a small area in a bottom surface. Here these expressions can be expanded like this. E dot dA can be written as EdA cos theta. We have learned already scalar product or dot product. A vector dot B vector, that is equal to AB cos theta. So same thing can be used here, EdA cos theta. So each terms can be expanded like this, EdA cos theta. Here what is theta? Note it down. Theta is an angle between electric field and normal. Note it down, electric field and normal. Now we are going to find the angle between the electric field lines and the normal in all the three surfaces. First I am going to take the top surface. In the top surface I have taken the small area dA. Normal is nothing but a perpendicular line to the particular area. At the top surface, what is the direction of the normal? It acts upwards. So direction of electric field is always horizontal, acts horizontally, but the normal is perpendicular to that area, so it acts upwards. So at the top surface, the direction of the normal acts upwards. The direction of electric field is always horizontal. Here what is the angle between the normal and the electric field line? It is nothing but a 90 degree. Likewise, we are going to find the angle between the normal and the electric field line in the curved surface. In the curved surface also we have taken the small area dA. Here what is the normal? Direction of the normal will be like this, because normal should be perpendicular to this area. So the direction of the normal is horizontal. Likewise, electric field also always, the electric field line which comes outside of the wire is also acts horizontal. So here both are in a same direction. The normal and the electric field line both are in a same direction. Same direction means what is an angle? Here theta that is equal to 0. Likewise, finally we can take the bottom surface. On the bottom surface we have the area dA. Here what is the direction of the normal? It acts downwards. Vertically that acts downwards. But here also what is the direction of the electric field line? It acts along the horizontal. Horizontally it acts. So here also what is the angle? Like a top surface, here angle is equal to 90 degree. The value of angles at the three surfaces we have found. The values can be substituted in the expressions. First, in a curved surface, what is the value of theta? In a curved surface, the value of theta that is equal to 0 degree. So instead of theta, I am going to apply the value 0. In a top surface, what is the angle? In a top surface, theta that is equal to 90 degree. So instead of theta, I am going to apply 90 degree, cos 90. In a bottom surface also, theta that is equal to 90 degree. Here you can apply 90 degree. We know that cos 90 that is equal to 0 and cos 0 that is equal to 1. So here this two expression will be equal to 0. Then electric flux through the closed surface will be equal to integral of dA only. Here we are going to use the Gauss law to find the electric field. Here it is the expression for the Gauss law. I hope you have studied already. So phi E that is equal to integral of closed integral of E dot dA that is equal to enclosed charge divided by permittivity epsilon naught. That is only the expression for the Gauss law. So far we have found the value of electric flux through the Gaussian surface. Closed integral of E dot dA, finally that is equal to integral of E dA. So far we have discussed that one. That is equal to, according to Gauss law, that value will be equal to the charge within the enclosed charge they are given. So within the Gaussian surface, the charges which are outside the Gaussian surface should not be taken here. So the charges which are available within the Gaussian surface should be substituted here, divided by epsilon naught. So how can we find the charges in the Gaussian surface? In the beginning itself we have studied linear charge density. To find the amount of charge in a particular length, we have to multiply the linear charge density and that particular length. Here we know the Gaussian surface has the length capital L. Then that L want to be multiplied with linear charge density of the wire. Then you can get the amount of charge in the particular length, that is nothing but a Gaussian surface. Using this expression, we can find only the charge within the Gaussian surface. That is only the statement given in a Gauss law. So we should not consider the charges which are outside the Gauss law. Which are outside the Gaussian surface. So enclosed charge that is equal to Q that is equal to lambda into L, that can be substituted here. So this expression can be substituted here. So lambda L by epsilon naught. Here uniform electric field is given there. So E can be taken outside. Here dA want to be integrated. Here dA is nothing but a small area in the curved surface. There will be no electric flux at the top surface and bottom surface. So there will be no electric field. So we can neglect the two surfaces. We are going to consider only the curved surface. So dA is the small area in the curved surface. Suppose you are going to integrate the small surface, you are going to get the entire area of the curved surface. So what is the formula for the curved surface in a cylinder? It's nothing but a 2 pi r into L. 2 pi r, r is nothing but a radius of that cylinder into length. L is not, capital L is nothing but a length of the cylinder, that is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. Here you can cancel the L, it's a common factor that can be cancelled. You are going to find electric field only. So E that is equal to 2 pi r can be taken that side, 1 by 2 pi r lambda by epsilon naught. It also can be written as 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r. It gives you the magnitude. In a vector form, how can you write? Since it is a vector quantity, in a vector form also can represent. So 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by r into, you can multiply with the unit vector. It is only the expression for the electric field due to an infinitely long charged wire at the particular point which is located at the distance r. So the electric field due to infinite charged wire depends on 1 by r. The electric field given by the infinite charged wire depends on 1 by r. But we know that electric field which is given by the point charge depends on 1 by r square. That's a remarkable thing in this case. Another one, if lambda value is greater than 0, that means it is a positive value, then the charged wire has the positive charges. And what happened to the direction of electric field? It radially acts outwards. So electric field acts outwards. Likewise, if lambda has the value lesser than 0, that means it contains negative charges. Then what about the electric field? Electric field acts inwards. In the next video, we are going to discuss the other two applications of Gauss law. Thank you.